Brother, picture this. You're standing in a crowded room, maybe at work, a cafe, or just walking through a busy street. There's laughter, chatter, movement all around. People are caught up in their own worlds. But then something subtle happens. A woman's eyes stay on you just a little longer than on anyone else. Her body shifts ever so slightly in your direction. She doesn't speak, she doesn't call your name, but you feel something change. That quiet shift in energy is attraction in its rawest form. Most men never catch it because they're looking for something loud, something obvious, flirting, bold words, direct invitations. But women don't always move like that. Attraction often hides in silence, in spaces where nothing is said yet everything is felt. The truth is, her silence isn't empty. It's loaded with signals, small, delicate ones that many men ignore. The way she holds your gaze a second too long, the way her breath shifts when you walk closer, the way her shoulders open slightly as if inviting you in. None of this comes with a neon sign saying, "I'm interested." Instead, it lives in those invisible threads of connection you can only sense when you slow down and pay attention. Most men are blind to these signals because they're busy scanning for the dramatic. They wait for a smile that's too obvious or words that leave no doubt. But brother, the truth is in the whispers, not the shouts. A woman rarely risks exposing her interest outright. Instead, she lets it leak through her actions, her glances, her timing. If you learn to read these unspoken cues, you'll realize her silence is not distance, it's communication. And once you see it, you'll never mistake quiet attention for indifference again. Brother, one of the clearest but most overlooked signs of attraction is when she begins to mirror your energy. This isn't something she plans or consciously chooses to do. It happens naturally, almost like her body and mind are syncing with yours. You lean back in your chair, and moments later, she leans back too. You scratch your chin, and not long after, she finds herself touching her face. You laugh, and suddenly she's laughing as well, even if she didn't fully catch the joke. This isn't coincidence, it's connection. Her body is speaking in a language deeper than words, quietly saying, "I feel aligned with you." Think about it like music, brother. When two instruments are tuned to the same key, they create harmony without effort. That's exactly what happens when a woman mirrors your movements, your expressions, and even your mood. She's not trying to copy you like a child might mimic an adult. Instead, her subconscious is building a bridge toward you. It's her natural way of showing you that she feels safe in your rhythm, that being in sync with you feels right. And it doesn't stop at body language. Walk beside her, and notice how her footsteps begin to match your pace. Order something at a cafe, and see how she suddenly chooses something similar. Spend enough time together, and you may hear her picking up your slang or repeating your favorite phrases. These are subtle signs, almost invisible if you're not paying attention, but they're powerful because they reveal what she won't say out loud. Mirroring is her way of saying, being with you feels natural. You and I move in harmony. Once you recognize this, you'll never mistake it for coincidence again. Brother, when a woman is drawn to you, one of the strongest signs is how she finds ways to stay close, even when the moment could have naturally ended. Most men think attraction is only shown through direct conversation or obvious signals, but the truth is, interest often shows up in the subtle ways she lingers. Maybe the conversation between you is already wrapped up, but instead of leaving, she asks another small question, something she didn't really need to know, but it keeps you talking. Maybe she should have walked out of the room minutes ago, yet she's still there, scrolling her phone, pretending to be busy, while her presence stays anchored near yours. That's no accident, brother. That's intention. She doesn't always want to make it obvious, so she creates these little moments where the time stretches longer than it needs to. And sometimes, it goes beyond lingering. She'll create accidents that look random on the surface but are actually subtle invitations. She might brush against your arm, bump into you more than once, or drop something so you'll have to help her pick it up. She might ask for assistance with something simple, something she could easily do herself. These aren't mistakes, they're tests, little openings to see how you respond. When a woman stays close, it's because she wants to feel your presence. She doesn't want the connection to end just yet. She may never say, "I want to be around you," but her actions whisper it in 100 small ways. Most men dismiss these moments as nothing, but brother, if you start noticing how she lingers, you'll realize it's her quiet way of asking for more of your time, more of your energy, and more of you. Brother, here's something most men overlook: the way her voice and energy shift when her attention turns to you. Around other people, she might sound professional, casual, or even guarded. Her tone is steady, almost routine. But the moment she speaks to you, something changes. Her voice softens, carrying warmth it didn't have before. Or maybe it slows down, pulling you in, making every word feel more personal. Sometimes she even becomes playful, teasing in ways she doesn't tease anyone else. The words might be simple, but the music behind them is different. That change isn't random. It's a sign that her energy bends differently when you're involved. And it's not just her voice, brother. Pay attention to her whole presence. When you walk into the room, does she straighten her posture, adjust her hair, or fix her clothes without thinking? Maybe she suddenly gets more talkative, laughing a little louder, putting more energy into the space. Or the opposite happens: she grows quieter, almost shy, because your presence makes her self-conscious. Either reaction tells the same story: you shift her atmosphere. She doesn't behave with you the way she does with everyone else. That's the heart of it. You change something in her. It may be small, almost invisible, but it's real. Most men miss it because they're too focused on the words, not the delivery. But when you tune into her tone, her energy, and the subtle changes in how she carries herself, you'll notice the difference. It's her unspoken way of saying, you stand apart from the rest. She may never admit it out loud, but her voice, her body, and her energy betray her interest every time you enter her world. Brother, one of the most powerful silent signals of attraction is the way a woman remembers the little things you tell her. Most men underestimate this because they think she's just being polite, but that's not the truth. If you casually mention that you like your coffee black, or that a certain song always lifts your mood, or that you once traveled to a small town you loved, and weeks later she brings it up again without you ever repeating it, that's not coincidence. That's intention. She's storing details because, to her, those pieces of you matter. A woman who isn't interested won't bother holding on to random fragments of conversation. Why would she? But when she's drawn to you, her memory sharpens in ways you don't expect. She pays attention to the things you might not even remember saying yourself. Maybe you mentioned your favorite childhood snack in passing, and the next time she sees it, she sends you a picture or even surprises you with it. Maybe you told her about a goal you're chasing, and later she asks how it's going. These are not casual gestures. They're proof that you've taken up space in her thoughts, even when you're not around. Brother, that's a powerful thing. Because remembering the small details is her way of carrying you with her. It's her way of saying, you're important enough for me to keep in mind. Most men overlook this and think it's just friendliness. But women don't invest mental energy in men they don't value. So when she remembers the things you barely noticed yourself, recognize it for what it is: a quiet, unspoken confession that you matter to her more than you realize. Brother, one of the clearest unspoken signs of attraction is how a woman begins to make space for you in her world. She may never come out and say, I want you in my life, but her actions quietly reveal it. Maybe she adjusts her schedule so she just happens to cross paths with you more often. Maybe she shows up at the same events or lingers in places where she knows you'll be. To the untrained eye, it might look like coincidence, but it isn't. It's intention disguised as chance. She's weaving you into her routine, allowing you to slip into her orbit without making it feel forced. Sometimes it's subtle, like finding excuses to involve you in small parts of her day, asking for your opinion on something, inviting you into a conversation that didn't really need you, or sharing moments of her life that she doesn't share with everyone else. Other times it's bigger, like introducing you to her friends, letting you see the spaces she usually keeps private, or making sure you're included in plans. All of this, brother, is her way of saying, I want you closer, without ever needing to use the words. What's powerful about this is that it's not about grand gestures. It's about consistency. If she's intentionally making room for you, it means you're important enough for her to shift her world around. Most men miss this because they're too focused on what's being said directly. But if you pay attention, you'll notice how she positions you in her life. That's the final and strongest whisper of attraction, her actions creating space where you didn't ask for it, because in her heart, she wants you there.